well to a new video for the Painters Core channel, and today we've got a Seat Cupra, and I did a poll a couple of days ago, just putting a question out there, seeing what people would like, and I see a couple of people was asking for a prepping video for the next one. So the next day this flew in, so I thought perfect, nice greeny blue colour, so it's quite a cool colour to do it on. And yeah, I thought I'd do a stage by stage, and yeah, you'll get to see it all painted at the end of it. So now that was just a bit of aerosol etch. So the etch just keys the bare metal up, so it protects it and puts a layer, and that will allow the actual primer to bind to the metal, so you won't come across problems later on. This primer is we only have, so the scheme that we're using is a standout scheme. So we have three colours. We have black, white and light grey. So you can sort of, depending on what colour you're doing, you can sort of tint it a bit darker, a bit lighter. Yeah, so I sort of just went for like, where it's a darkish colour. I didn't want to go black, so I thought that might have been, so I just done like a darkish grey. And yeah, I'm just doing, so that first coat was just to go over just covering the bits where there's filler. Nice slow coat. I have sped up the second coat a little bit, but yeah, the second coat is a lot slower. And yeah, you're trying to sort of get that build, because you want to be able to have enough on there to be able to sand it and yeah, sort of block it out and shape the panel and stuff like that. And well, and to fill in some of the fine scratches and the sort of pinhole where the filler is, practically, pretty much. So we normally do 2 coats, sometimes 3, depending on your repair. 3 will just give you that extra build, and you can just sort of block it through. If you're not sure on the repair as well, sometimes primer can help you. So if you just put an extra coat on, or I wouldn't put like 10 coats on, that'd be a bit crazy. But yeah, I think 2 to 3, you could possibly go to 4. I think other than that, then obviously there's something wrong with the repair. Yeah, so once that's all done, it goes on bake for about, this one's quite a quick dry, so I think it goes on for about 10 minutes, maybe 8 to 10 minutes, this one. And yeah, and then it's sort of, once it's cooled down, it's ready to start sanding. So here I've sort of I've masked out around what panels we're painting, just to protect any adjusting panels, or like just above the quarter there's like a moulding and stuff like that. So yeah, so this is just a 320 block, and notice how I'm sort of going, I'm not going one way, I'm going with the panel, and I'm not just going in a straight line, I'm sort of going diagonal and sort of smoothing, because it's sort of like a curved out sort of quarter. You sort of got to make, if you go straight, if I was to go straight horizontal, I could start putting like dig lines where the block won't be flush with how the panel is flowing, if that makes sense. So yeah, try and look at how the panel is and how your block sits, and sort of go by that, and then you can sort of figure out what way to go, and yeah, the best way to keep that shape, because you don't want any lines or anything like that, because that will show up in the lacquer and sometimes colour if you're doing like a silver. The way I've masked, I mean, I've done it for so long where I can sort of, bit of experience, you can sort of go to the line of that arch, because it's quite a sharp line. But how I've done it there, I wanted to make sure I got the lower arch, I didn't want to go into that line, so I masked it up with just a bit of 1-inch tape. If you go right on the edge with the tape, and then you just block up to that edge, that will keep that edge nice and sharp, and you shouldn't really go up, you like, sort of protects that line as such, so it gives you a bit more of a chance of making it look nice and keeping it straight. Because I dare say the panel beater won't be happy if you take out his lines. So it's always best to just try and be a bit sort of savvy, and just sort of watch what you're doing before, and think, okay, I'm going to tape it just to make sure, and stuff like that. Yeah, so again, so that 320's obviously blocked up and needing a new one. So always check your paper as well. So when you're blocking, it can get sort of clogged up. I mean, it's good to use, and we've got hoovers, so I have got like a suction hoover pipe there, so it is taking the dust straight through to the actual hoover. But if you don't, even now, even with that, I will sometimes get a bit of a blockage where they're like little balls. If you don't sort of blow them off, then it can sort of put like little like scratches into it, right, like deeper lines, which isn't good. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that really. That was just a soft pad, so that's like a sort of a sponge, I suppose. And we use 500 to take the 320 scratches out. So when you always go higher, always go stage by stage. So we do 320, and then we buy the block, and then we use a 500 to take the 320 scratches out. You have to make sure you're going to, because the higher it is, the finer the paper is, so the finer the scratches on the panel. So yeah, make sure you do that overall everywhere you've gone through training. Make sure you take your time. Even use like a guide coat or something, like a powder, to sort of shows up where, so then you can take out all the fine scratches. It should show. This is just a little 500 soft pad foam disc, like a pad thing. So that's just for like edges really, and any like the like bits you can't get to with a DA, or yeah, you don't want to dig in with a DA, because then you could start causing sort of indents. Even though you got the primer and that, it is still relatively fragile as such in a way, because if you start digging in, then you'll start denting it and stuff like that. So yeah, just be careful, and keep, when you're doing DA, just keep it flat to the panel really. With the foam pad, that should help with avoiding digging in. That's why we use them, because it sort of molds to the shape of the panel, especially if you're doing like this one where there's a lot of inverted lines, outverted curves, and all sorts of things. So yeah, it just protects you from sort of any problems really. Door edges, always check your door edges. I've missed door edges, so it's if you do, then don't. I've done it where I've got to bloody sort of rubbing it, sort of degreasing it, and then seeing a chip on the edge and things like that. So yeah, if you can, try and do a methodical way where you sort of do it the same thing each each way. This is just to check for pinholes. No matter how much you might always miss a couple, especially on like a big repair. This was quite a big repair, but to be fair, the panel beater has done a really nice job on this. There wasn't, I think there's about 3 or 4 that I had to put just on the edge, but yeah, so all it is just a 3M putty. It is for just tiny little holes. But yeah, if you use a torch, this will sort of show up any little minor ones that you can't see in the natural light. It just highlights it all. So yeah, definitely always, if you can, always do that over your primer just to double check, because even though you think there's no pinholes, I've done it where I think, oh, that looks good, and then I've based it up, and voila, there's bloody pinholes staring you in the face, and then you've got to try and do it with the base coat. So yeah, so this one now is just I don't know if everyone wet scotches and wet flats anymore. On certain colours, I always, well, especially on repairs like this where it's quite a big repair, I like to block, wet block. I don't know if it's just, well, I was always taught, when I first was taught, I was always taught wet flatten. I wasn't using dry flatting or anything like that, so all I ever used to do was wet flat from primer. And yeah, I don't know, it's just always stuck with me. I find you get it comes out nicer, the repair, if you give it a block. It seems to cut in a bit better than, I don't know why, I'm probably wrong. But yeah, give it a go. So I've blocked it and with the 320, and then I like to wet scotch and wet flat just because there's a lot of dust on it. So one, it keeps all the dust down, and it cleans it as well. So here I'm just blocking all that primer, just to make sure, one, there's no more deep scratches. I'm using 800 paper, and yeah, so you could do like 600 paper or 800 paper would be fine, I think. And yeah, just again, going with the panel, and sort of, and you can normally feel it. I find with the block, I can feel if it needs more, because if it's really nice and you've got it. Obviously, you're not going to get 100%, but you can normally feel that it's nice. It's a nice smooth finish, and it just glides. There's no bumps. There's no wobbly or sticking, or it just flows, and then you feel like, and then if you wipe it, you can actually see it, and it actually has a shine, like a satin sort of finish, so you can actually look down and see what the repair would look like if lacquered, if that makes sense. Yeah, just a little tip really, and then I always go over with a wet scotch as well, just to clean any, and it makes it fine. It's smoothing those scratches out even more. Wet scotch, yeah, it's just an extra sort of protection to make sure there's no scratches really, because that is at the end of it what prepping is really, is getting the panel as best you can for the best sort of chance of getting the paint job nice. Um, and I find it gets rid of any dirt on the paint, on the panels, or bits of tar that you've missed when you've degreased it before. The amount of times I've degreased it and then there's still one or two that is real stuck on. So yeah, so it just gives you that extra, and it takes all the dust off as well. It's just, it feels a bit cleaner. Yeah, so I just normally do that. Go over it with scotch, and you've gone over everything, each sort of layer of process you've done. You've gone over it all, so it should all be good really. So yeah, so that was all. I've skipped the blowing off, so blow it all off. Make sure you get it all like the arch, open the doors up, getting all the crevices. Um, and yeah, and then now it's just a solvent degreaser anti-static one. This is a fast one. For like winter, it's good to get a fast one. Uh, Summertime, we normally use like a slow degreaser. I found out how slow because we got delivered a slow one last week. It took bloody ages to wipe off where it's cold, and oh, it's you seem to go through rags. But yeah, so yeah, for winter time, use the fast one, and summer slow one. It gives you more time then. Yeah, so that is it. So it's all ready for masking. As you can see, it's got a nice sort of satin finish, no shiny bits. It looks good. Hopefully no scratches. We'll find out at the end. I think it came out quite nice. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it really. We're just doing the door, and quarter, and I have got the bumper, but I did I prepped that sort of separate because yeah, once it's a bumper's bumper sort of thing. So I thought I'd show you on the car. And yeah, so with masking, if you've seen some of my videos before, I always start from back and work myself forward. It's just, yeah, again, it's just something I've learned over years and was always taught. It's weird how some things you just stay with you. I was always taught quite old school. I was learning before sort of water base, so I learned on like 2-pack and solvents and things like that. Not old school where it's all bloody yeah, industrial stuff and stuff like that. um, yeah, so yeah, I only started literally painting when water base was coming on the scene. They was pushing for everyone to go that way. So yeah, but it's helped me wonders because I've learnt 2-pack, solvent, cellulose as well. I've done a bit of that, and water base, which is pretty much all the time now. I did have to do some sparkling glass today, but it was really weird because the sparkling glass is like is solvent. So it was quite weird doing that again. It was drying so quick, and it was just, yeah, so it's quite nice to do that again. But yeah, everything's water based now, and yeah, I think it's yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think solvent's going to be making a way back. So, but I quite like water based. Some people don't. Obviously, they've got used to it because it's been out for so long now. But I remember people used to moan about it so much. They used to hate it. But where I was learning on it, it was just something I had to learn, sort of thing. So, but yeah, so here is just yeah, it's all masked up really from back to front. Shuts I've just done on the seams inside the doors, just 2-inch tape, and on the tops is just back masked. And yeah, and this is it. This is a final product. This is all painted. I didn't have. I had more of the video, but yeah, it's all in this sort of camera angle, so I thought I'd just put the finishing touch on. But hope you enjoyed the video. Hey, put a comments in, and thanks again.